Gray here for the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is episode 79. We're talking about 5 easy ways to get more viewers to your live streams, and I'm very excited to be joined by Rob Balasabas. How are you doing, Rob?
Ian, well, thank you. I was going to say welcome. I'm so used to being a host, man.
You know, that's so funny because I do the same. In fact, it reminds me of my wedding day, and you know, you kind of as a bride and groom, you're in the waiting. You've got all this line of people going and shaking your hands saying congratulations. Yeah. And it got to the end, and I was like saying congratulations to them. I was so confused. So there we go.
I love it.
There we go. So yeah, you're dialing in from Vancouver, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah, rainy Vancouver. So we are into fall, so it's just going to be rain for the next 6-7 months here. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better because living near Manchester in the UK, it's always raining here. Well, actually, it's a reasonably blue sky here. So great. Well, it's good. Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. I can see there's some wonderful live viewers watching. And of course, if you're watching the replay, just put #replay in the comments. It'd be great to know that you're watching the replay. And let us know where in the world you're watching from. I can see Tim Sorn is here, which is awesome. If there's anyone else who would like to leave a comment, let us know. But yeah, how are you doing, Tim? Across the pond. What did he say, actually? Let's put this up. It's quite a funny comment, as he says. Watching from in the woods across the pond with the bears and the turkeys.
Classic Tim. Hey, Tim, good to see you. I see there's a bit of a watch party happening as well. I see Sean and John Costin and Gabe Leal as well. Awesome live streamer. So, yeah, Ian, thanks for inviting me. Really excited to be here with you and really dig into live streaming strategies, which is one of my favorite topics, of course. So, really stoked for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we need some help with this. We've talked a lot about the tech. We've talked about confidence. We've talked about content and stuff, but we haven't talked so much about boosting viewers. Now I'm doing the royal we again. I should stop that. I have had Lou Mangello on the show talking about the importance of community and talking to one person, you know, making your audience your friend and not getting too heads up on the numbers. But that being said, we do want more, you know, it is nice to have more people watching. And so we're going to be talking about that today. So let us know in the comments if you have any questions for Rob or for myself. That'd be great. As always, broadcasting across the various destinations, including LinkedIn Live, Facebook and YouTube and more. Rob, I think it's time to get on with the show. What do you think? Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll be with you just after this.
This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello, it's Ian Anderson Gray here for the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is episode 79. And in today's show, we're going to be talking about 5 easy ways to get more viewers to your live streams. I'm joined by Rob Balasabas, who does lots and lots of things, including working for TubeBuddy, but he is also an amazing creator and live streamer. And I can't wait to introduce you to him. The show notes for this will be at iag.me/79. That's iag.me / I always stumble over the /79. But today's show, as always, is sponsored by my good friends at Content 10X. A few weeks ago, I had Amy, the founder of Content 10X, on the show, talking about LinkedIn specifically. But live video is such an amazing platform or format to be able to then repurpose across the various destinations. And it's a great way, once you've created that content, there's lots of planning obviously involved, there's the tech to sort out, but once you've done that, you created a piece of content that then can be taken into a plethora of different content, whether that's into a YouTube video, a LinkedIn video, to a blog post, or a podcast, which is what I do. And so this is what Content 10X does. They are the complete content repurposing platform and service. And so definitely check them out at content10x.com, and also check out their LinkedIn 10X service, which is really, really awesome. Now, if you don't have to hire them, of course. You can learn how to do it yourself, and they've got so many resources on how to do this. They've got a book, they've got a podcast, they have a blog, and they've got so many things to share. So definitely check out Content 10X. And I thank you, Amy, and the team for sponsoring this show. Just go to content10x.com. Okay, it is time to introduce my guest to the show, Rob Balasabas, who is an awesome guy. We met earlier this year, and I think we might have bumped into each other before, but at Social Media Marketing World. Rob is the Brand Evangelist at TubeBuddy.com and speaks at various conferences, summits, podcasts, and live stream interviews. He creates a lot of content for his own channels, primarily on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And he shares a lot of video marketing and creation strategies, live streaming tips, as well as tools and software reviews, basically videos to help you, the content creator. When he's not working, Rob is a husband and a dad. He loves to travel, which is a bit of a problem right now, but never mind. Drink coffee and explore new places with his family. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ian, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the introduction. Yes, traveling is a bit of a challenge right now, but we try. We do our best locally. But yes, thanks for having me on. Excited for this conversation and really dig into live streaming strategies. Yes.
Yeah, well, we definitely need some help when it comes to this. We have talked about strategies before. We've talked about how to promote your live streams. We had Lou Mangello on the show talking about the importance of community, but we haven't talked so much. Actually, we had Tim Sorn on the show to talk about promotion of live videos a while back, but we haven't, and Tim and Jim on the show, but we haven't talked specifically about how to get more viewers watching your live stream. So I'm really excited to pick your brains. I hope it's not going to be too painful for you. It won't be. We're always nice on this. I can see we've got lots of lovely people watching. You've been very busy, Rob, in the comments. I can see that. We've got Gabriel. Gabriel's on the show here replying. Hello, Doc. Great show yesterday. So yeah, you were on. You were doing quite a few live shows yesterday, weren't you? I noticed you doing Restream yesterday.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Yesterday was a busy day.
It was a busy day. I could see. And yes, and you've just said ask any questions about live streaming, content creation, gear, YouTube, coffee. Unfortunately, I can't drink coffee anymore. But yeah, we can talk about coffee. That's fine. And Sean says, watching the intro reminds me of how brilliant the show title is. Are you talking about mine or yours? I don't know. That's cool. And Tim asks, so let's have a bit of a geeky start. Shall we start with Tim's question, which is, what kind of lighting do you have, Rob? Because I have to say
Sure.
I complimented you on your lighting. Tell us your
Let's jump right into it. Tim, good question. Thanks. I was just talking with Ian about this before we started recording and went live. I'm in a den in our condo, and so there's no windows. And so I've had to be quite creative a little bit, I'd like to think, with lighting. Watch a lot of YouTube videos on people building their home studios and things like that. So what I have is basically there's 4 lights. There's 2 softbox lights from Amazon. Actually, all of them is from Amazon. And they're about $100 for a pair. I can't, but they're basically softbox lights. They're maybe about 3x2 softbox lights. So there's 2 of them that I'm looking at right now. Behind me, there are these. I'll get them right here. I don't know if you can see them, Ian, but there's these lights. And so they've got these little film that you can kind of take in and out, and they're colored, and they give some depth to, this box that I'm in, when I'm recording and doing videos and live streams. So that's really my lighting here. Obviously if you have, if you're in a space where there's windows, then and you don't want to spend, money on gear and lighting, then you can just look out the window and work with that. That's the best type of light, natural light during the day, looking out the window and then pointing the camera back at you. That's the best way to really get that natural look. But yeah, that's the lights that I have, Ian.
That's awesome. Yeah, and just for podcast listeners, just to describe that those little lights are these LED lights, aren't they? And they're quite small, and you've put this little blue film over it just to color it, just so that if you're listening to the podcast, you understand. And yeah, they look really cool. And of course, I totally agree with you. Daylight is great, but if you're live streaming in the evening or when the dark evenings start to come in, if you're in the northern hemisphere, then we might need to think about lights as well. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Rob. That's great. Yes, Tim is saying shout out to Jim Foos. Yes, I forgot Jim's surname for some reason. So there we go. Tim and Jim were on the show a while back, and it was a great show. Great to have you. Inside the Lab watching on YouTube, saying hey Rob and Ian, thanks for showing these nuggets. And Sean also says yours. I think you were complimenting me on my intro. I was just making sure. That's great. And Inside the Lab is watching from Maryland, USA. Great to see you. So yeah, if you're watching live, just let me know where in the world you're watching from. We like to be global here. So Rob, can you remember your first live video experience? And how did it go? Very clearly. It was with Eric Sue, who runs Single Grain in Los Angeles. He's got a really awesome agency out there, and he has a show with Neil Patel. And so this was during my days at Thinkific, and they invited us to hop on their daily, I think it was a video podcast, similar to what we're doing here, Ian. And yeah, so hopped on. They said, just join us when we go live on Facebook on your phone, and then we'll bring you in as a guest through the Facebook app. And that's what we did. So I was waiting for it. They're all right, we're going to go live. And so I was waiting for it, went live, and then I joined the live stream, and then it was on your phone. So I was should we go this way, or is it portrait or landscape? So anyways, we ended up, I was sideways for 5 minutes, and then we were trying to troubleshoot the whole flight, for the first 10 minutes kind of thing. It was horrible, but yeah, that was sort of my the eye opener for me that okay, this is where brands and entrepreneurs and influencers are this is where they're playing. This is where they're exchanging attention, that currency. I know Gary Vee talks about that. For those of you that are Gary Vee fans, that's where they exchange their attention. That's the currency, and so that's where they collaborate. And so that's where I figured I need to start getting into videos and live streams. And my glasses are fogging up. But yeah, so that's when we're okay, we need to invest some time and resources into figuring out live videos, and this is how we can collaborate with influencers and expand our reach from our office, from our home. And so that's kind of when my eyes really opened to that opportunity. Awesome. That's really cool. So you started on your smartphone, and then obviously now you're broadcasting from your computer and you're doing all that fancy stuff. But you started really simply, and I think that's a really important message to say to people. Don't overcomplicate things. Start small, and over time you can. There's loads of time to sort that all out. You don't strike me, Rob, as somebody who gets nervous, but maybe you do. I think sometimes people can look really full of confidence, but certainly the first few times they went live, they're really, really nervous. Have you always just been quite confident with all of that? Just let us know how you feel about all of that.
That is actually surprising to hear. It's a compliment. Thanks, Ian. I'm nervous right now. Honestly, I get nervous. About every single live stream. I'm not naturally a public speaker. I'm, just growing up. I'm not the guy that's going to raise his hand to present in a group setting. So I do well in small groups, but definitely I get nervous when I go live or when I get in front of an audience, or when we were speaking at stages and things like that at conferences. I get nervous all the time, but I think it's a good energy, right? It's a good nervous energy. I think, I'd love to get to a point where I don't get nervous anymore, but I think at that point, then maybe I'm not doing something that's exciting me anymore. So, I definitely get nervous every single time.
That makes us feel a lot better, because I still get nervous every time. And actually, I honestly believe that if I didn't get nervous, I think it's probably time to stop. But I think it's turning that nervous energy into excitement, and I think you use that word excitement. I think that's really important, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think people have said to me, "You don't look nervous, Ian," and I would say the same to you. Rob, you don't look nervous at all. You always look full of energy with all your videos, and I think that's the key, isn't it? It's turning those nerves into that excitement in front of the camera. So if anyone's watching feels scared about live video, you're not alone. You're not alone. I've just seen. I missed Sean's post from before saying he's up at 5:30 a.m. and there are two oceans separating, as he says, because he's in Honolulu, in Hawaii. My goodness, that's a bit of a distance away. I remember going to Honolulu in the mid-90s. I'm going to show my age because my background is singing, and we sang in the cathedral in Honolulu. It was an amazing experience. Greetings from there. Awesome. Inside the Lab is saying, I saw the link on your community tab and wanted to learn more about live streaming. So that's awesome. Thank you for joining us. And I agree. He also says, I agree. Rob, it is good energy. It wakes you up. I don't know what that's about. Is that about coffee or something?
Yeah, I think it's about coffee. Yeah, I know Sean made a little joke about coffee. It maybe is. It does help. So I think for me, one of the things is that you just get excited. I get excited. I think one of the guys, when I was working at Thinkific, one of the guys there, he's like, whenever you go on camera, it kind of dulls you down an extra, whatever number you want to pick. He's like, it dulls you down like 20%. So you need to kind of amp it up a little bit to even appear sort of your normal self. So from there, I was like, all right, well, I need to, not be a different version of me, but you do need to kind of, get excited so that you can engage with the audience and stuff like that. So, so
that's so
coffee.
Important. That's so important. Well, I call that heightened authenticity. So I think there are, there are 5 levels. So it's so important to be yourself. And I think live video is at level 4. And level 5 is doing a keynote at in a big stadium in front of 20,000 people. And the reason I say that is because I think we need to put more energy into it than we actually think or that we feel comfortable with. Because the camera's a bit of an energy sucking device. I think you'd agree with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. So yeah, that's why I like these interviews, interview format live streams, because then you get to engage with somebody in real time kind of thing, that you get to talk to.
It feels a lot more natural, so definitely. So yeah, just going back to the comments. So Inside the Lab says, I get nervous as soon as I click go live, but then it balances out about 10 minutes into the stream. I would agree, although sometimes when the tech doesn't quite go to plan. Oh, yeah. Charles Breed. So we will get into the main subject today, but I just wanted to go through some of these comments. Charles Breed says, hi Ian and Rob, I run a weekly 30-minute live stream called deepthinker.io. I like the sound of that, Deep Thinker, to my LinkedIn 7,000 first connections with scheduler, but few join in. So is that not a live? That is like a scheduling a pre-recorded thing, or let me know. And also says Facebook comments disabled. I haven't actually disabled that, but anyway. Martin Buckland is watching from Toronto. Always learn from your podcasts. Great. Thank you so much for joining. And also, I can see that Sean says, good point about camera dulling you down, Rob. So true. So let's talk about increasing the number of viewers, because I think sometimes when we're first starting out, and I wonder if anyone else watching or listening feels this, you're starting out, and Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube has this viewer count on the top left, and it says 0, and you feel nobody loves me, nobody. You just like, and it's really hard, particularly if you're broadcasting and it's just you're not talking to somebody else. It feels really difficult because you're like speaking to this vacuum. And yes, of course, there are people in the future. There are the replay viewers and stuff, and that's really, really important. But when we're just starting out, how can we get more live viewers?
It's a really good question, and I think it's something that all content creators, live streamers are thinking about. Obviously you want to make sure that your time has a return. That's something that, especially if you're working within a brand, they're wondering, hey, what is the return on these live streams? So and you said it really well there, Ian, is that, if you're just starting, you likely won't have too many people showing up, and that's totally fine. When they watch the replay, which they will see, because more people actually watch replays. I know for our channels, for the TubeBuddy channel, whenever we go live, we'll have a pretty good, decent turnout live. We've been doing it for quite a while. Andrew has been doing it on the TubeBuddy team for way before I joined, for many years, and so it's something that, again, and I'll touch on this in a little bit, that people expect, and it's something that they know that they can expect, that it will happen every single week. And so it's kind of like your favorite show, growing up. There's must-see TV. We're gonna date ourselves here, Ian, but there's all these things. When you had cable, you had to be there. Like Simpsons was always on Sunday nights, growing up. So I had to be home by 8 p.m. on Sunday because I wanted to watch The Simpsons. It's kind of the same thing. That's one of the things you want to think about. So so the first thing I would say, Ian, is that schedule your live streams. On Facebook, you can schedule up to, I believe, a week before, like down to the minute, 1 week ahead before you go live. On YouTube, you can schedule quite a ways ahead, but I would say schedule 4 to 5 days before you live stream. Ian scheduled this on LinkedIn events, on Facebook, on YouTube. And so that really allows you to then promote the live stream. On YouTube right now, inside the lab PC Tech, that's my friend Terrence, he saw it in my community tab. So the only way I can promote this live stream that Ian did to my community tab on YouTube is if Ian had scheduled the live stream, which he did. So scheduling your live streams ahead of time allows you to promote ahead of time. So you can you can share on social media. Once you have a scheduled live stream, you can send it to your email list, your community, your Patreon. You can send it out. So that's probably the first thing that I would do. You do that for every stream, Ian?
Yeah, I always schedule all of my shows because of that one thing, because you get that link that you can then share out to email and other places. So I think that's really important. Facebook at the moment there's a little bit of a bug going on, so it's actually very difficult to kind of get the link. So you have to jump through a few hoops. But hopefully in the future, Facebook will have sorted that out. Now, you mentioned about YouTube, about you shared it, and that kind of popped up on my feed that Rob has shared your post. I thought, shared your video and thought, oh, that's really cool. And then, of course, I'd forgotten about the whole community tab, which I believe is only available if you have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Could you maybe just share a little bit more about that, people who haven't come across that part of YouTube?
Sure. Yeah, so you get a community tab once you get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's kind of like a Facebook feed, kind of like an Instagram feed. You can do polls, you can share images, you can share GIFs or GIFs, however you say it, and you can put links as well that are clickable. So a common thing that a lot of YouTube creators will do is, they'll share videos directly, because if you click on a YouTube video and you click share, if you have the community tab, there's actually a little red button that says share to to your community. So it's very easy to do if you've reached 1,000 subscribers. So that's a really good way to, again, share upcoming events. You share other videos, interviews like this that you're a guest on, to share it with your community. So yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And if you've got under 1,000 subscribers, don't worry. If you start to grow your channel, you will eventually get there. And there are all these little magic numbers of subscribers that you suddenly get all these like new little things. I think the next one's 10,000, where you get, is it super chats or something? There's a few extra things you get.
Yeah, it's a gamification. YouTube has been very smart with gamifying the way you grow your channel there. Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. Right. Well, I can see some more comments coming in. This is from Sean says, still wait. Oh, I hear this so often. Sean says,
LinkedIn, yeah.
Still waiting for my LinkedIn Live approval. Feeling like the last mate picked for footy side. Yeah. I feel you. It's. And we talked about this a lot on the show because I think my advice to you is just keep on applying. And from what I gather, if you are creating a lot of video content for LinkedIn, that looks good. If you're creating a regular live show on another platform and you're being consistent, I think consistency is important as well. And LinkedIn aren't always looking for marketing things. So if you can show that you actually talk about other things as well as marketing, then that's good. They don't really want you to talk about LinkedIn Live on LinkedIn Live. They don't really want any meta stuff.
That's true. That's true.
Have you got any advice on LinkedIn Live?
Yeah. There's a lot. This comes up a lot as well. I think we got access around the same time. But yeah, in all honesty, guys, I'm going to be really open here. Is that I have LinkedIn Live access. I go live on LinkedIn. I guess. What I want to say is that if you don't have LinkedIn Live access, you're not missing out on too much because there's still a huge opportunity with natively uploaded videos on LinkedIn. So the shelf life of those videos are much longer. Obviously, pros and cons. LinkedIn Live, you get to engage with your audience in real time. But yeah, just continue uploading natively uploaded videos. So like recorded videos that you upload to LinkedIn. That will help. And then just going live on other platforms so that you can show them like, hey, I know how to do live streams and I know how to engage an audience and I can be, I can bring value and we can do all of this on LinkedIn Live. Go check me out on YouTube and Facebook Live and all these other platforms. So just continue reapplying. At some point, I'm sure you'll get approved.
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen. So Inside the Lab, by the way, who is Inside the Lab? What was the name of Inside the Lab? You think you mentioned
Terrence. Hey, Terrence.
Hey, Terrence. So great to see you. It's very powerful and something I learned from Rob on the top of the importance of having a run of show. So
that's
definitely. Right. Rego says, Ian, Rob is a major connector. I definitely know that. He's amazing. So many of my connections over the 6 months have been because of Rob's happy hour Zoom calls. So definitely, I would agree with that. And Charles says, exact problem. No viewers on my live stream. My Facebook is very active. My over 1,000 plus. My LinkedIn is 7,000 plus. I go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time. I schedule in advance to promote in my 4th week. Excellent guest, but my viewership is in single digits. Maybe I'm not that interesting. I'm sure that is not the case. And I would say, don't obsess over the numbers. But have you got any? What would be your response to that?
Yeah. Definitely don't obsess over the numbers. There's so many things. Again, the replay viewer and all those things. There's so many. If it's okay, Ian, I've got a couple other tips here to get more people to join you live. That's okay. All right, cool. So, the next thing is probably be consistent. So, Ian is very consistent. Every single week, he's showing up. Again, similar to the way that I think it works with YouTube is, if you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, you need to be consistent. You need to make sure that your audience knows that you are going to show up every single week or every single day, every Friday, whatever that is, let them know when to expect you and communicate that, right? And people can see, they can see, if it's your podcast or YouTube, they can kind of see when is the last upload, when's the last 2 or 3 uploads. Okay, it looks like every single 5 days ago, 14 days ago, 1 month ago. So be consistent. Be consistent with, the live streams. It's not something that you just, if you want to build something, it's not something you just let me try it a couple times, and then let me see what happens. You have to have a plan going into it, that you are going to be consistent. How often are you uploading? Or, sorry, going live, Ian?
So at the moment, I'm going with this show. It's twice a week, and then I do another show with Restream. So there are 3 main shows every week, and I think you're so right. The consistency is it's not everything, but it is so important, and I think it's important for building your audience. It's also important for you learning to be better, for your confidence, for the tech, and all those things. But one thing that I find with consistency that's really, really hard is sometimes that number, if it is low in your mind, that can do weird things with your brain, and you can stop. You can stop being consistent because you feel like giving up. And so I think we need encouragement, so actually do get people watching, if you've got people in your community, let them know about it and get them to come along and watch it. Sometimes you need to, give yourself a little bit of a helping hand right at the start, I think. And don't give up. Don't give up. Please don't give up.
Yeah, I agree. That's not something I was actually thinking about, but it is very important to have a community, and not just a community of the people that is your audience, your potential customers and the people that you're trying to join you on your stream and watch you, but the other people that are in your industry. For me, it's Ian, and it's Stephanie Liu, and all these amazing live streamers, and we have little pockets of community and Facebook chats and stuff like that, and sharing ideas and resources, and just really encouraging each other as well. So yeah, very important. Good point.
That's really important. I'm glad you mentioned that. But make sure that those communities, that you don't then start to compare yourself in a negative way, because that's always a problem. You can look, this has been a problem for me in the past. I will look at another live video creator and think, oh, I could never be as good as them, and all this kind of stuff. And it's ridiculous that we think these things. But again, being totally honest, that can sometimes happen. But these communities that I'm in, you mentioned some fabulous names there. They are really encouraging, and we do encourage each other. We help each other. So supportive, and I'd definitely put you in that community too, Rob. It's so wonderful to be there with these other people that help us along the way, because we do need help.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Toso he's saying a question, do you use a run of show? And yes, it's printed out. And,
I love it.
I am actually thinking of getting a teleprompter, not to have a script, but actually to have the run of show on that, which I will let you know how I get on with that. So there's loads of other comments coming through, but do you have what would be your next tip for us?
My next tip is, Charles, to Charles's comment and sort of comment here and question on LinkedIn Live, is have guests. If you're doing a solo show and you're finding that it's a bit of a struggle to, grow your show, think about collaborations and having guests join you, because that allows you to have, again, a very organic conversation. It's more engaging. Sometimes, it's a little nicer to watch. It's more, you get to sort of learn from 2 people as a viewer rather than just one. And again, in terms of promotion, it allows you to, hopefully your guest is willing to share your show with their audience as well, and their networks, and so then that allows their audience to join you. And most likely, if you're in the same industry, then those are also people that you want to connect with. And I know that for our world here, live streaming world and marketing and YouTube and social media, I feel like there is no competition. There's so many people that are in, say, talking about Facebook ads or YouTube growth, and they're just collaborating with each other because they understand that the ocean of customers is so big and so vast that there's no fear of I don't want to share you with my audience because they might go to you instead of me, So yeah, have a guest, invite them in.
Absolutely. And yes, okay, the tech is perhaps a little bit more difficult, but not really with the tech these days. I mean, there's so many software out there that makes it really, really easy. And yeah, you're so right. I mean, I think when it comes to bringing on guests, they may be in the old world, there might have been, you might see them as competition, but they're not, because in this world there are so many. You're actually probably doing. Bringing people over who they can share their expertise, and they're perfect customer are not going to be your perfect customer, and vice versa. So
that's right.
I think that's really, really important. So I totally agree with you on that one. That's fabulous. So what else have we got here? So this is interesting. Sean says, replay viewer is key. Yesterday, the Econ team had about 250 live viewers, but the beta group or the beta group sign up was well over 10x, and that is still moving as we speak. And I think that's important. I think in your head, we look at the number in the top left corner, but you've got to think to the future and think about that replay audience as well. So
that's right.
Fabulous tips so far. Before we get on with some more of your tips, I wanted to ask, are there any mistakes, that we're making? I suppose I'll ask you this. What are the biggest mistakes that you see us making when it comes to the whole promotion and getting more live viewers? Would you say it's, for example, just not promoting, not letting anyone know about it, or are there other things?
Yeah, not letting. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely one huge mistake, is not having a plan in place. So if you're like, hey, you know what? I think I could do these live streams. I see people in my, in my industry, and I see other people doing it. I think I could do it. And just trying to really like, okay, well, how do I do it? Okay, cool. This is the tool that I use. All right, let's just go live. And and not bringing value, not having a plan, I think that is a huge mistake. Common mutual friend of ours, Steve Dotto, Ian, taught me when I was still at Thinkific. He says, every video, every minute, make it count, right? Like, make it count. Like, don't just go live talking about like, hey, yeah, how's everyone doing? I'm just kind of like, I've got some free time. I thought I'd hang out, and like have a plan, like either bring them value by way of educating them, teaching them something new, entertaining them, or inspiring them, sharing a story that might uplift them, So yeah, not having a plan is a huge, huge mistake. And you'll definitely see like your show won't even get off the ground, unless you're super interesting and you already have a huge audience in another platform. Maybe you already have a huge, Instagram audience, or a YouTube channel that's massive, where you have loyal audiences that already know you through your other content in the past, that when you go live, it's like, I already know this person, so I'll hang out with them just for, really no reason. I'll just hang out here just because I know them, I like them, they've provided me value in the past. But have a plan when you go live. Yeah.
Planning is definitely a good idea. Definitely. I don't do without a plan. I think it would all fall to bits. Sean is saying hashtag Team Lights Camera Live. That's Stephanie Liu's hashtag, which is great. I'm a big fan of Stephanie. She's awesome, and she is. I've definitely asked her to come on the show. I think she hasn't quite confirmed, but I'm hoping that's going to happen really, really soon. That would be awesome.
Stephanie's
Bradley says, being consistent means a lot. You want folks to expect you to be online at certain times and days, and not wait on your scheduler to remind them. And that is so true. Would you say, in terms of like letting people know, so we can use like social media management tools, we can like tweet it out, we can send it on email, and the thing that you did, if you've got the community tab on YouTube, so you can share it that way. Are there any other ways that we can use? I mean, I don't know, there's Facebook Messenger bots, but then there are other things that we could potentially do from a kind of a geeky tooly way, are there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think those are pretty much the ones that we do. Yeah. If it's something that's you really want to promote, you may want to create a native video. Like you may want to actually create, a recorded video where you it's like a promo video. Like, hey guys, I'm really excited. I'm going to be having Ian Anderson Gray join me this Friday. And then you make that video, like what are you going to talk about? When can they, expect it? The link to go and click that reminder. That's the call to action, especially on Facebook and YouTube. There's a reminder button, and that's typically like pushing everybody. Go, hey, here's the scheduled live. It's going to happen this Wednesday. Make sure you click that reminder button. Especially on YouTube. I know YouTube typically will email you when a live stream that you want to that you set a reminder on. They'll email you, but I I believe that there's some like updates happening or already starting to happen where they're pulling back on those reminder emails. So you have to find your own ways to get your audience over to your show. So all the things that you mentioned there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important just to try these things out, and that brings me on to my next question, which is and a lot of people, I'm sure people have asked you this before. When's the best time of day to do my live show? And the answer is kind of depends, I'm sure. But how do you test this out? This is something I've been playing around with a lot. Have you had any thoughts on that, on that kind of $1 million question?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. You can look at your analytics. Again, going back to YouTube, just because that's my primary world that I live and play in. But inside of your analytics on YouTube, there's actually, if you go into analytics and go into the reach tab, you can see there's like a calendar, kind of like a typical grid calendar, and it tells you when your audience, your subscribers, are most on, like when they are actually consuming content on YouTube. So a lot of people will use this data to basically determine when they go live. Like, hey, it looks like it tells you it's like in shades of purple. So the more purple, the darker the purple, that's when more of your viewers and subscribers are actually consuming content on YouTube. So you can then kind of use that data and say like, okay, well, it looks like, they're mostly during my morning or mostly during my afternoon. And then you pick the time there. So, that's on YouTube, and you can kind of play with that. The other thing that you can do is you can multi-stream. So let's say, and you can do that with Restream here. You can multi-stream. So you can go live on YouTube and Facebook and all those things. And then you can go back and say, okay, well, it looks like my audience was really engaged. There's a lot of people showing up on YouTube, but not so many people showing up on Facebook. I wonder why. And then you kind of look back into your analytics, look back into your Facebook group, your Facebook page analytics, and kind of see where's your audience, where are they coming from? Where do they live? And it might just be as simple as that. Like if most of your audience is in the UK or in Europe versus if your audience is in Asia or North America, then you just have to kind of be logical with that and put that into mind. Like, let's try to hit them in their morning time or after work, right? That sort of thing, and just play around with it. And eventually you'll come to an understanding of the most optimal time to go live. The other school of thought that I know some people go by is that your audience can be trained. So that's totally opposite. It's just like, I just want to go live at my lunch break. And so if my audience wants to, then that's when I'll go live. So it is almost like, self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. If you're only going live at noon, then you're going to catch an audience that is engaged at noon, your local time. So, there's two schools of thought there that I think are possible.
Yeah. Although I love that answer. I mean, there is no simple answer to that, and I think both of those things are really, really important to say. It's yes, I think you've got to looking at the data and thinking about your audience is important, but it's also got to work with you. If you've got a family, like 9 o'clock in the evening might be the best time in terms of the analytics, but that's not necessarily going to work for you as a family. And so, this is this time for me, 4 p.m. in the UK, which I believe is 8 a.m. for you. Did we start at 8 a.m., which is a bit early? So thank you, Rob. But I do find this works pretty well for my US audience and Canadian audience, North American audience. But then, so on a Tuesday though, I do an 11 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. one. So that's good for, I could just about get my Australian friends and people in the UK and Europe. So I do two shows to try and, I don't know whether that's the best strategy, but that's what I'm trying at the moment, and it's working pretty well. So just try out what works for you.
Exactly.
Got some great comments here. Terence was saying, nice. I printed my first one out too. I'm not sure what this is. Is this to do with? Oh, this is to do with the show notes, I think, isn't it? So yeah, printed that, and now I use my iPad with bullet points, which is awesome. Now, what else?
High tech.
Yeah, definitely. You should see my high tech standing desk. No expense spared. It's basically four paint pots on top of my desk, and then I put an IKEA table on top of that. So there we go. No expense spared.
Sean, it's a concept. It's a concept model. Prototype.
We've got some shameless self promo from Sean. Well, we'll forgive you. Tech is not difficult. If you follow my show, I'll teach you. Thank you for that. And Bradley also says, it can be as simple as saying, see you next week in your video, which I totally agreed. Let people know when you're next going to go live. And little video ads and posts are good too. Instagram images are good for that. So we had Amy Woods on the show talking about you can turn your live videos into video babies. They can have babies that little 1 minute, 2 minute videos that you can either pre-promote or post-promote your videos, which is great. And Terence also says time and day is something that I'm still experimenting with. And we've also got I'm the one and only watching from Dallas, Texas in the US. Great to see you.
Nice.
Well, just before we get on with the final segment of this, it is time to bring in my next sponsor, which is StreamYard. Now, I talk a lot about loads of different tools on the show. I've talked about loads of them, and that's my job really, to review them and to give as much information on all the different ones. But StreamYard is a great tool because it's very easy to use. It works within the browser. You can do so much in it. You can, for example, you can highlight comments on your screen. You can add your own titles. You can have up to 9 guests on your show without any extra software. You can share your screen. You can add brand colors. You can stream to Facebook, Periscope, LinkedIn Live, YouTube, and more. And if you're feeling fancy, you can use green screens as well. And all of that is on the free version. But if you want to do even more, the paid version allows you to add your own logo, overlays, backgrounds, videos, and multi-streaming to up to 7 destinations. So if you want to find out more, all you need to do is go to iag.me/StreamYard. And I thank you, StreamYard, for sponsoring this show. Really appreciate it. Fab. Awesome. So just as we finish, have you got any other tips for us? Because I know there were 5, and to be honest, I've lost count.
I've lost count as well. I think I've lost count. I think we're fairly close. I mean, the other things I just want to mention really quickly is, multi-streaming is a great way. So if you're just starting out and you have like a bunch of, a Facebook page, LinkedIn, if you have LinkedIn Live Access, YouTube channel, Twitter, all those things, and you don't know where to go, like where's your audience and where are they at, then just multi-stream. Go out and multi-stream to all the different channels at the same time. And then after the stream is done, kind of look back and say like, okay, well, it looks like my Twitter audience is very engaged. So let's figure that out. My Facebook audience, not so much. So what's happening there? Also, another thing to pay attention to are the questions and the quality of the questions. Because what you may find is like, hey, the questions that are coming from my YouTube audience is very, it's very complex. Like they understand what I do, my product, my services really well, versus my Facebook audience that is like, they're asking very beginner basic questions about what I do, about my industry. So then that also helps you with the content that you're going to create, the recorded type of content, the organic content that you're going to create. And so maybe on Facebook, you're just creating very introductory content, basics, beginner stuff, top of funnel. Whereas on YouTube, you are getting down to the very complex, getting close to like being a little bit more aggressive maybe with, your calls to action and your purchase, questions. So that will help you there. So yeah, multi-stream, that will really help.
Yeah, I love multi-streaming, and it is so much easier now than it used to be. It used to be that you'd even have to fire up a server and get your hands dirty with coding and all this kind of stuff. My friend Mike Russell, I don't know if you know Mike Russell from Music Radio Creative, but he came on the show to talk about his progression, and now it's so much easier. You can use tools like Restream and StreamYard and tools like that make it so much easier. So that's definitely a great way of experimenting. I totally agree with you on that. So when it comes to, we talked about having a run of show, having a plan of what you're going to say. That's really important. I've talked in the past about having like a checklist of all the things from a tech point of view, such as check your microphone, check your internet speed, check that everything's working, that you can hear your guest and there's no echo. But do you think it's a good idea to have a process or a checklist for the promotional side of things? And do you have one? I mean, what is your process for all of that?
Yeah, checklists are important. I have a checklist for, I use Trello, manages my whole work life. And so I have a checklist for live streams, down like very beginning, from like scheduling a guest, sending them the Calendly, sending them my Typeform to get all of their information, creating the thumbnail, scheduling that, all those things, sending them the email, just like you did with me here, Ian. You sent me an email with all the links for all the scheduled live streams. You sent me the images images that I can use and essentially copy that I can also use when I share this on social. So make it easy for your guests. If you have guests that are joining you, make it easy for them to share your show. So yeah, having a checklist is really important. Again, it's just consistency, right? And so to be consistent, it's like kind of doing the same thing all over and over again. Obviously making some tweaks as you go. You're like, hey, maybe I should change this and this a little bit, but 99% of the time, it's always the same, and that's how you're consistent. So yeah, having a checklist. We have a checklist for live streams. We have a checklist for any videos that we create for our YouTube channel. All those things, checklists are very important.
That's awesome. Awesome to know. So that's interesting. You use Trello. Yeah. In a sense, I suppose it doesn't really matter what tool you use, as long as you have a process. No. I use Asana. I know people that just write it down, have a checklist, and the only way to really get a checklist going is, well, learn from other people, and you will have learned a lot, I know, from Rob today, and so you can start creating that checklist. But the other way, it's just doing it, and mistakes will happen. I'm sorry to say this, but you will make mistakes, and then you'll be able to learn, oh, I need to put that in my process. Oh, I forgot to let my guest know about the scheduled link, so I need to give them that next time. And that's how, I'm sure you would say the same, that my process has evolved. I'm sure your process has evolved as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Checklist, like, again, just I can't stress that enough. Like literally I could share it with you guys, but yeah, checklist for all the little things, and it's a living and breathing thing. It always changes every single week. We'll add something, we'll remove something, and then also as you grow. So if your business gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, I want to bring in a VA or an assistant or a marketer to help me with my process and take this away from me, off my plate, then you have a process already down that they can just essentially step into, and it's easy to train them and scale up your show that way as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, if you're gonna get an assistant further down the line, then you've got to make sure that you have a really tight system at the start. Don't just expect a virtual assistant to kind of like sort everything out for you and it all being magic. Mitchell Dong's here. He says, loves the tips so far. Run of show is so important. Yeah, oh my goodness, where would I be without that? Great tip here. This is a bit more of a geeky tip, but I love this one. We like geeky tips, don't we, Rob?
I like geeky tips, yeah.
He said, when sharing your YouTube videos on other mobile-first platforms like Instagram, be sure to use deep links so your followers can watch and comment on the YouTube app versus the default browser it opens in. So this is really interesting, and I've been experimenting with this recently. So just if you've never heard of deep links, it sounds a bit weird, but basically this will, if you share a link that is a deep link on Facebook and somebody clicks on that, so say for example, you're linking to a YouTube video, you can put that link on Facebook and it will let the phone know to open it in the YouTube app, not in the browser. I think I'm explaining that right, Rob.
That's right. And there is a difference. If you click it, you can tell because you're not logged in. Like if you're in the browser, most people are not logged into their YouTube account on their browser, but they are on their YouTube app. So there's a difference. You can tell like, oh, this is not the YouTube app. This is a browser. Yes. Yeah. Mitch is brilliant.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, and that's so important because if you want people to get people opening the YouTube app to get to your video that way, so that they can actually like and subscribe to your channel as themselves. Whereas if they're doing that in the browser, they won't be able to do that probably. So I think that's a really good tip. Yeah, I love that. And Sean says, you're trying to make us jealous of being in Honolulu. I use coconut skin for my checklist. Thanks for that. That's so just as we finish, I don't know whether you've got any more tips on that, but I wanted to just before we finish, just to ask you what your top gear, live video gear and tools are. What do you use in your system? Because we talked about your lighting, which looks very fancy. And if you're listening to the podcast, all you need to do is go to iag.me/79 and you can check out the video of this and check out Rob's lighting because it's great. But yeah, just maybe give us a bit of an insight into what you use from a tech gear point of view.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if you're just starting out, again, you can just start out with your laptop. So I prefer doing live streams on my laptop. You can also do them on your phone, but it's just, you're limited, and you have to figure out how the phone will look and all that stuff. And so it's just limited. But I usually use my laptop. So I'm a Mac guy, so I have a Mac. You can use your webcam. The next thing up from that would be investing into, some type of camera. So there's lots of, Logitech, has some really good webcams. The next step from that with video is an actual DSLR camera. So I use a Canon M50. I think most people know that tune into my live streams and stuff. I talked about that a lot. So I use that as a webcam using the Ecamm virtual cam, just with a USB cable. So if you understood that, then that's good. If you don't worry about it. But that's very straightforward. It just gives me, a better camera, just a better camera quality, video quality. As far as audio, you can, if you can, I'm just trying to look, but just a headset is okay. At the very least, try to use a headset. That way you're speaking and your voice is going directly as much as possible into your mic on your headset, rather than like the laptop mic, which doesn't focus the audio in. So try to use a headset. Again, these are like $20. Sometimes it comes with your laptop. The next step from that would be some type of external mic. So I use a Blue Yeti. There's other awesome brands out there. Shure has like a really good microphone as well. I think it's called the MV1. That's like $100. So if you want to invest, if you have some resources to invest in that, I think that's really important, because a lot of people may not watch the video, but they'll definitely listen in. They need to listen in to get your content. So I would say those two. The things that you have to think about is like the video and the audio. And so those are the two things. And then the lights and stuff, you can kind of play around with that. But yeah, I showed you guys mine. I just get mine from Amazon. Amazon has been an awesome resource during the lockdown here.
I think they may have made a little bit of money in the process from all of our orders. My goodness. I would agree with you. And thank you so much for showing that you don't need to start complicated. Start it simple. Just, I think, it is the advantage with using a computer over like a phone. I mean, one thing we've talked about is scheduling. You can't actually schedule from your phone. So the only way to do it is from a computer. So that's a really important thing. But that's great stuff. And then in terms of like other things, you mentioned Ecamm Live for the switching. That's what I use. I use a Canon M50, so we've got a lot in common there, which is great. But do you use any other apps as well to help in your marketing and the promotion side of things?
Yeah, I know that our team and I as well, the team handles it. We use Agorapulse, for scheduling all these things out. We talk about promoting scheduled live streams. We use Agorapulse for that. You'll see it, our tweets and our Facebook posts and all those things. And then really, as far as like marketing, that's it. That's really all we use. We use Easel and Canva both for designing thumbnails. That's really important, especially on YouTube. I mean, really everywhere, Facebook as well. You want to get people into those live streams and click that reminder button. I would say that those are the tools. I'm trying to think. I'm actually looking through my phone right now to see what other apps. Sometimes you just forget,
There's so
they're
many.
Just there, but yeah, there are so many. But those are the two that I definitely use.
That's cool. That'll do. That's fine. And I'm a huge fan of Agorapulse. Been friends with Emmerich for years. Who's the co-founder of Agorapulse. And in fact, we will be getting him on the show at some point soon, because he's awesome. So that's great. Terence is asking the question, this is a really good question actually. We were talking about deep links before. Can you use Bitly for deep links? And the answer to that is, unfortunately, as far as I've looked into it, you can't. You need to use a specialist deep linking service. And the one that I use is URL Genius. Is the one, and that's I've been playing around with that with my Messenger bot. And I completely forgot to mention my Messenger bot. So if you want to be notified for next time, I need to put this in my run of show thing. But yeah, if you want to find out, be notified for next time, and also get my confidence guide, all you need to do is go to confident.live/subscribe. Confident.live/subscribe. And you'll then get an example of some deep linking using URL Genius, which is great. Sean says you can schedule lives via YouTube mobile now. which is interesting. So is this when you go live? Because I know one of the other things that you can get when you get to 1,000 subscribers is you can also go live from your phone. So is that what you're talking about? Do you know anything about that, Rob?
I'm not too familiar. Again, I've always just been doing all of the scheduling and everything on my laptop. You can go live natively on YouTube after you have once you get to 1,000 subscribers. I've done it a couple times. Again, you can, but if you have access to your laptop, you just get a way better user experience.
I would agree. Cool. Well, we're out of time, but I did want to ask you about TubeBuddy, because of course you got the TubeBuddy brand on the t-shirt and stuff like that. And I've followed TubeBuddy for ages. I feel I've got an account, but I feel that I'm not using it at all. So just let us know what TubeBuddy is. There's probably a little clue in the word tube in there that it might be something to do with YouTube, maybe. But tell us more. That's right. Yeah, no, really quick, 15 seconds about TubeBuddy is that TubeBuddy has been around for about 5-6 years. Four founders, all developers. They've been creating YouTube software for over 10 years, even before YouTube was purchased by Google. So they know their way around it. We are partnered with Google and with YouTube. We have over 4 million YouTube channels that have our tool installed and connected to their YouTube channels. So an amazing community. So yeah, we have over 80 different tools inside of the TubeBuddy platform to help all YouTube creators, whether they're small starting or big commercial brands and MCNs and all those big networks as well that use our tools. So yeah, if you're interested, just head over to tubebuddy.com. All the information there, and you can get started for free. Definitely check out tubebuddy.com. There's so many resources. It's really, really awesome. And one of the things I keep seeing at the moment, and I really want to get involved with this. Not that we want to play the numbers game, but there is this gamification in YouTube. But I've seen people sharing this. I've got 1,000 subscribers, and it's got the TubeBuddy logo on there. So tell us about that. Is that a kind of little app within TubeBuddy that shows you your growth? Yeah. So once you install TubeBuddy, again, it's free. There's a free version with over 30 different tools. That milestone is what we call it, is one of them. So yeah, Ian, you can get it now. So yeah, just head over, and if you connect it, there's a really easy video that'll show you. It'll take you 2 seconds, and just it'll take up a lot of your time because you're like, I'm so close to my next milestone. Yeah. Just don't watch the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix. Yeah, that's a really good movie, though. Yeah, it is. No, it is. It's very, very good. I definitely would recommend it. But Sean says, TubeBuddy is a mate to ride the train with. I like that. And Darren says, milestones are sweet. Click Magnet is the game changer. Yeah, that's a new feature. That's a new feature that we just launched that Sean's referring to. But yeah, thanks, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Wow. Yeah, we'll definitely. Well, we definitely have to have you back on the show at some point. We can talk more about these things. It's been a pleasure to have you on. So obviously you can check out TubeBuddy at tubebuddy.com. Where else can people find out more about you? You have carelessly scattered yourself across all the socials and all the platforms. But where's the best place to check you out? Yeah, so anything TubeBuddy. So at TubeBuddy, I'm usually behind the scenes there. If you have any questions, just message us. You can also obviously go to our YouTube channel. We have a very healthy, growing, good YouTube channel. YouTube.com/TubeBuddy. And then for me, just look me up on YouTube or Instagram is probably the second place that I hang out. And feel free to connect with me. Send me your questions in a DM. Always happy to connect. So thank you, Ian. I know, Ian, we're going to have you on our show next week with Jeff and Grace. Yeah. So we'll get to hang out again. That's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, and if you're listening to the podcast, sorry I have to do this, Rob, but just to say, Rob's last name is Balasabas. Have I got that right? There we go. Balasabas, which is a cool name. I like it. Thanks. Fab. Well, thank you so much, Rob. It's been great. And thank you so much if you've been watching live or the replay. Thank you so much if you have plugged us into your ears and listening to the podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast, go to iag.me/podcast. It comes out every Friday, the Confident Live Marketing Show. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.